I'm Joe Kennedy, and I love the Grandstanders.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Russ Stevens on my left, and Uncle Joe McLaughlin on my right. Well, we have another great show for you tonight. But first of all, guys, I have to tell you, the players, they always say when the fans talk about, criticize them, they say, well, they never played the game. Right? That's it. Well, let me tell you, boys, I played the game. On Monday, I had the pleasure of playing through the Red Sox Rewards program, had the pleasure of playing at Fenway Park, a game amongst fellow season ticket holders. Actually, first of all, let me tell you, it's wonderful to run around Fenway Park in your pajamas.
And not get kicked off the field.
Not get kicked off the field. They had the run of the place. Now, we're seeing some photos right now. That's me just grinning ear to ear. And what I got, we played 6 innings. I went 0 for 1 with a walk. And then let's go to the video. Guys, I pitched. And the Red Sox have been having problems. Look, is that form or what, boys? You can tell me what, Joe Kelly usually goes about 1 2/3 of an inning. You don't think that a 49-year-old man throwing 38 miles per 38 miles per hour would not have taken them off their game?
Did they have the gun on you?
No.
How did your boys?
Did they let you keep the pants?
The boys, no, they were saying
your performance.
Goodish.
Goodish. Really?
No, I asked Max. I said, "What is I good?" He said, "Well, you good-ish."
Wow.
I'm like, "Yeah, I know that hurts." And I
would have asked him to step into the box, Max, and put that helmet on tight.
Well, actually, when I got up, the guy pitching, was pitching. He threw the first 2 pitches behind me.
Yeah, that's not what we're looking for.
Just sending you a message.
Yeah. It's kind of frightening, but just a dream come true. So as a fan in a fan show, to be able to do that is once in a lifetime. So I'm glad we got to show that.
Yeah.
So, our Red Sox, they're in the basement, boys. They're 5 games below 500, their worst record of the season. Things are kind of going south. And I start with one Shane Victorino, right? Obviously, I've personally trashed him a lot in the last year and a half because Shane has more muscles, as I said, than any human being, right, alive, and he pulls
every single one.
Every single one of them.
Every single one.
So apparently last week, he's in the lineup, guys. John Farrell puts in the lineup. He goes into the office and says that he doesn't want to play today and has no excuse. So John Farrell actually says that to the media, and then they put out that Shane will not be playing today due to general soreness.
Sure.
Russ, this is my first question to you. When's the last time that you've woken up without general soreness?
Yeah, every single day of our lives. Joe's a mailman. I can only imagine what he'd be waking up with every day, right?
Right. I mean, what do you think of a guy who's making $14 million a year, who clearly does not want to play? It will be kind to say, unless he's 100%.
I think that's right. He's at look, this is a guy who's at the tail end of his contract, who's got $10 more million to make this year. He certainly wasn't going to retire.
No.
You can't take a pay cut in Major League Baseball. So you're left to do what a lot of these guys do at that point in time in their careers is play it out, take the money, and then you're going to probably go sign a 1-year contract for $4.5 million next year in Philly and come home a conquering hero.
Yeah, he de facto retired a year and a half ago.
Seems like it. Now, the irony is he was actually one of the better players on the team for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
Right? He played very well. That's the
Especially
frustrating
defensively,
thing.
he looked
you
great.
do remember, he did make you, exactly right, Joe. It made you remember what it was like to have a dynamic athlete in right field playing reasonably well.
Not Daniel Nava stumbling and bumbling out there.
Right, but does that say a lot right now about John Farrell, that he, first of all, can't influence Shane to play that night, right? And that Shane doesn't feel any immediacy or any loyalty to the Red Sox that he wants to play that night, right? So for me, has John Farrell lost the room? And we'll go into more and more, types of did you, lose the room when you can't have guys who should be in the lineup and are not.
His status as a leader of men has gone down with me over the course of the last couple weeks. I don't see Farrell as being real good leadership material. He is constantly making excuses for them over and over. He's got an excuse for everyone why they're not playing well.
Yeah, I mean,
they're going to play up to those excuses, every one of them, if you give them.
That's the old Parcells
exactly.
line, right? Which is if you give a player an excuse, he'll take it, right? There is something to that theme, I think, Joe, is he was the right guy for the right place at the right time, coming in after Bobby V and straightening the place out. No question.
Yeah. Right, yeah, absolutely.
We can't argue with that, but you wonder what's going on in there. Why are they playing, I think Shaughnessy said yesterday or today, that's what Joe Morgan said when they were playing badly way back when. They're playing dead-ass baseball, and it just looks like there's no energy from this team on any given night.
Right. We know he's not a good game day manager.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of right. We just thought he was a great manager of men. Right. Yeah. That the whole John Wayne
certainly
thing
worked out that way in year one.
He looks like that kind of guy, but it doesn't seem to have the substance right now. Anyways, he was the right guy at the right time, like Russ said in 13. Maybe he's not the right guy at the right time now.
Well, I was watching the pregame show a couple of days ago in Minnesota. He wasn't shaven. He was kind of mumbling his words. He looked like a guy that had a bender the night before and was just completely disinterested in going to the park. Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I think losing just brings out the worst in everything,
Yes.
And we had a little run recently, about 2 weeks ago. We won, 6 of 8, 7 of 9 or something, and you started to see that energy come back. And then they go out to Minnesota, and boom, 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 you lose 3 in a row, and this thing looks as bleak as it's looked all year.
Oh, the Boston.
They were down 7-0 in the first
horrible.
inning.
Yeah.
The
horrible.
Boston Globe was a disgrace when they took 2 games against the Angels, and the articles, the Red Sox, this with exclamation points, Chris Gasper, don't give up on this team. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, you can just see that.
Yeah, the only thing they have going for them is the division is so lame that they could tread water for another month and think that they're still in it, which is the real danger. Right? Now what do you do?
Yeah.
Right.
But to be giving up on them this early before even the June swoon.
But you can't sell when you're only 4 games behind.
Yeah.
You cannot. You just can't. And may not be able to buy what you want to buy, right? But you can't sell right now.
But Rusty, we have no reason to believe that this team is going to perform any level above what they're performing right now.
Sure,
they give you no signs of that, right? You see no signs of life. You see no signs of these younger players are progressing in any level, right?
And I don't see any player with the ability to kind of put the team on his back and drag them out of this malaise they're in.
Big Papi? So, got breaking news from the breaking news desk here at the Grandstanders. Joe, so Big Papi playing tonight against Texas, and there's no Big Papi.
Could be no Big Papi for the foreseeable future either.
And what is Big Papi going to be doing the next few days?
Practicing in the cage.
Practicing in the cage, right? The leader
That's
of the
available
team.
to him all day, every day anyways. So,
and he's a DH, right? He doesn't play the field, Russ, right?
Between the innings, he has the cage. He's available in the cage.
Let me ask you a question. I hear all this, but say he takes 2 or 3 days off, he comes back and goes on a streak. What are we saying now? Well, he took these days off to clear his mind. He got it out of his system. He worked on some fundamentals, and he goes off on it. So, yes, it sounds ridiculous right now. If he comes back over the weekend and plays well, then we're going to feel like, okay, that was a good idea.
Or maybe they're saying, and you want us to pick up your option next year?
Right.
We don't even want you playing right now, David. And why don't you go and think about that?
I don't see them turning on him like that.
No, behind the scenes they might. No,
Great point.
They're not doing it in the headlines.
Absolutely, Uncle Joe. What happens, Russ? He gets a little hot streak for 5 or 6, 7 days. They still end up being in the basement. And we know what David Ortiz is going to do at that locker room. What is he going to say? Oh, it's time for the boys to step up and pick up my option, right? That's what he does. That is right?
Yeah, but you've lived without all your career.
No.
By the way, if I remember correctly, last week, This is the guy you put on Mount Rushmore in front of Ted Williams, right?
The greatest of all time.
Right. Past performance. This is based on past performance. Okay. We always talk about, who's the most special Mount Rushmore. So I've created now a life raft. Okay. We put all the Red Sox in the current team right now on a boat, and the boat's ready to crash. Okay. And there's a life raft for 5 players on that team. That's the only 5 you can save right now on this current roster. So I have right now Betts, my boy Xander, Pedroia, Sweetheart, and Tazawa. Other than that, all 20 of them can go to.
I might not even have a pitcher in that life raft.
Let me tell you something.
Give me your life raft.
I'd put 3 guys in the life raft and leave 2 spots open.
I know. That's exactly right.
Let's carry extra water.
Right.
Pedroia, Betts, and Xander, and then I would get a bunch of chickens or something that they could eat along the way.
Yeah.
Right? See, I know I had to struggle for the pitcher. I just said Tazawa because I feel so sorry for the poor man, right?
Yeah,
because he's been hurt so much by the Red Sox.
Right.
But I had to put Sweetheart because he shouldn't even be out.
The potential is there.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing, and we may be going through another era of this, is there's potential there, there's potential here, there's potential there. There may just be an overrating of our own prospects that's going on systematically, top to bottom, because a lot of these guys have not panned out. Xander is not. I mean, Xander may be the best player, or he's playing the best on the Red Sox. Pedroia's playing pretty well too, right?
Yeah, right now he's been hot. Yeah.
But he's not where we thought he would be, right? This year.
Right. No one's where we
right.
thought.
Betts probably, So, and you take a look at the pitchers. Well, all of a sudden, Henry Owens looks like his ceiling may be a 3rd or 4th starter. I read a couple of weeks ago. Right.
Or are they hiding him? Maybe they don't want to bring him up because they want to keep his value up.
Right. So if this guy Eduardo Rodriguez comes out tonight and gets shelled, there's going to be even more panic in the streets.
I agree. All right, so you literally have.
I would put 3 guys in the draft, and I'm not even quite sure about
But at least the positions of importance, they're up the middle. Catcher, shortstop, center fielder.
It's not a great.
That's the only shine I can put on that.
Not a great referendum right now on the Red Sox. Let's get him and put 5.
And this is what it comes back to, and this is what I said a couple of weeks ago. Taking a look at Farrell or Cherington, I take more of a look at Cherington. And this is what I said to you the other day. It stuns me at how much they've convinced us. They've brainwashed us, Red Sox fans, to believe that we don't need a superstar in Boston.
Yeah.
That it's fine, that we don't have, maybe Pedroia sneaks into the top 25 in Major League Baseball. Probably not.
No.
But he's a great defensive player. He may get there all-around game. Yeah. Pedroia is the closest thing we have to a top 25 baseball player in Boston. We don't have a pitcher who smells the top 25.
No.
Right? But this is the Boston Red Sox.
Maybe
and we don't have anywhere close to a superstar, and they've convinced us that that's okay.
Yeah.
With the highest payroll in the history of the Red Sox.
Yeah. I mean, I want to watch Mike Trout. Right? I want to watch Bryce Harper. I want to watch Clayton Kershaw. Right? Yeah. Lester was the closest we had, and they let him walk.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about Lester in a second. But that's a great point as far as talking about players on other teams, because the Red Sox have actually started to market, come out and see Trout.
That's not good.
And we all grew up in the 1970s and 80s and 90s with them in the scorecard. Remember? Up and coming schedule, and they'd have come out and see Paul Molitor. Don't come and see the Red Sox. That's a road that I never thought we'd go down anytime soon.
If we, third last place finish in 4 years, this thing could get blown up at that point in time.
Yeah, I think it is.
In a pretty major way.
Well, management has to get shuffled at the
that
very
point,
least.
Absolutely. Yeah,
so I cried and I wailed over the loss of one Jon Lester, one of my favorite players of all time. Jon Lester, and then we kind of felt a little kind of good because first 2 starts, he kind of didn't do well. Since then, lights out, #1 starter for the Chicago Cubs, who look like a potential World Series team. And is that really where this has all gone awry, not signing Jon Lester? Not having a #1 starter.
Not signing Jon Lester and not replacing Jon Lester as a #1 starter.
Right.
Whether it was Jon Lester or somebody else, we got Rick Porcello, and they convinced us that, and by the way, some of us bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they figured out of the 5, one of them would have a good year, and they could sell that as the new number one. But none of the five are having a good year.
And Jon Lester's a star. He's a star. He's making a huge difference, and the Red Sox were wrong. So someone, Larry Lucchino, all of a sudden, he wants to be part of the Paw Sox. Maybe he's jumping off the ship.
Hedging his bet, right?
Right,
There.
because you have a sense that maybe he played a big role in Lester not signing, or when they had a chance last year of doing that, and he's realizing he's kind of bailing, isn't he? Cherington, like you said, could be on the chopping block.
I think so.
So I feel like a lot of this has come because of the Jon Lester. That was such a screw up and it's now.
Well, I think it's more the failure of the minor league development system to develop even a single everyday player, a good caliber everyday player. After they've been touting these guys, I mean, your Xander and the rest of them, and none of them have really panned out as even an above average everyday player.
Oh, well, the one player who's an all-star is Anthony Rizzo,
on
who plays for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Right?
You're going to see a light shined on their scouting and player development staff if we end up in the basement and these guys don't really progress how we've been thinking they were going to progress for years now.
Yeah.
Years.
Because they were on a hot streak for a while there, with the
We were told they were on a
Papelbon.
But then we were told they were on a hot streak because Baseball America keeps rating their farm system in the top 5 year after year,
and nothing happened.
And nothing really pans out on it. So it's either the development in terms of the minor league staffs, or they're just not drafting the right guys.
Or they bribe Baseball America to pad the stats a
But
little.
also they're spending millions upon millions on the Castillos of the world, international waters, and those guys are not panning out. Castillo's a joke. We may not get anything from him.
That doesn't look good so far.
That's
he looks like he
$72
doesn't
million.
know how to play baseball, right? And he looks like he doesn't really have an instinct for the game.
No, after a while, $72 million here, $80 million. We're talking about real money.
Yeah.
I mean, they're throwing it around. It's so, John Henry at some point, right? I mean, he's going to have to stand up, right? He's going to have to face the media, right?
Well, it's a
he's going to have
systemic
to
thing.
answer
No,
to
he
this.
won't have to.
Oh, I don't know.
That's why he hires these other guys. This is
Right.
why
Well,
don't know.
he hired Shields. Look, I think this is a systemic thing. The whole system has been based on a philosophy, and it's that whole Carmine kind of statistical orientation that is saying things. It reminds me, what's going on right now with the pitching staff reminds me of that year when they decided to have closer by committee.
Yeah. Right, because now we're going to do the ground ball pitches
Now we've
this
come
year.
right around.
Exactly.
We can get by with a bunch of number 3
Carmine
starters.
says this will happen.
Carmine says it'll happen. If I'm Henry and this doesn't work out, I'm really, more than anything, I am taking a look at our philosophies and saying, were we right? Have these things panned out? Or did we get lucky in 2013?
Right.
And I go raid Tampa Bay or Kansas City's developmental people.
Well, boys, I love yard sales. And right now, yard sales, people discarding things they want no longer, right? At what point do the Red Sox start cleaning out the garage and saying, it's time to be sellers?
I think it's a long way off. Honestly, if you're within 7 or 8 games of first place,
it's not even
it's
June
tough
yet.
to convince your fandom that it's the right thing to do. If I'm a season, and I am a season ticket holder, but if I'm someone who's paying a lot of money for season tickets, and these guys get in the middle of June and they're 5 or 6 games out and they start selling, your investment just tanks. Yet another year.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they can do it.
I think he's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree wholeheartedly.
So we got to go to, we got 10 minutes left, and we're going to go to the Patriots. Patriots signed one Brandon Spikes, who was their second-round pick 5 years ago, who left the team last year and tweeted that he did
4 years a slave.
4 years a
in New
slave.
England, right.
And then played for the Bills. It didn't really do that well, and apparently has made up with the Patriots.
For once, there'll be a good quote coming out of Foxborough,
Because they've signed him. So, boys, please explain to me the Brandon Spikes signing.
Well, somebody I did read the other day made sense because then they signed Dane Fletcher yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think there's this notion that they're signing for guys who are familiar with the system because they don't know whether they can count on Mayo or Hightower, who are injured early on in the year.
Yeah.
So, look, it makes sense. There are so many bodies it'll all get cleaned
And those
up.
guys,
He's
and Fletcher and Spike's the middle linebackers. Collins and Hightower are better suited on the outside. They do so much better on the outside.
One or both of these guys aren't going to make the team, and there's a decent likelihood that neither of them are going to make the team. Who cares?
And they're paying the guy minimum salary. So.
Right.
So I don't know. You guys watch Hard Knocks?
Yes.
Right on HBO. It's great, right? Must see TV. So the Houston Texans will be on Hard Knocks this year. And I was imagining in my dreams, can you imagine if the Patriots had had a camera following them the last, decade? Spygate, Aaron Hernandez,
they probably
Moss, Deflategate. We're talking about literally the most watched TV.
Yeah, it would make the Kardashians look like,
all their stuff would have a better spin on it if they had allowed a little a peek inside.
Right, so if you look like it, because
we all love Rex Ryan because of the Hard Knocks.
Yeah, star. So it's NFL is about behind the scenes, but the fact is, the best reality show in the last 10 years has been the Patriots.
Well, you had predicted last week, Crazy Talk, 2 weeks ago, that Belichick was going to retire on account of all this, which I'm still trying to get my mind around. However, I think the canary in the coal mine for Belichick retiring is approving being if the year that Belichick goes on Hard Knocks is his last year in the NFL. Can we all agree with that?
Yeah, right.
Like, that's what, then we know he's on his way out.
He's going to be taking veiled shots at everybody he wants to on
if you're
the way out.
Belichick, you invite Hard Knocks in, turn every camera on, fellas. We're going to have a wild ride.
Right. Yeah, just like when Auerbach, they had to wait literally before he died. They were on the phone. He has died. Get the cheerleaders out. Yeah. You're absolutely right. So, switching now over to the Celtics. And something very interesting in the news, I don't know if you picked this up, that Danny Ainge was talking to Isaiah Thomas, who we love, right? Yeah. One of our favorites. He's played only 3 months for the Celtics. And he was asking Isaiah if there were any players he thought the Celtics should go after.
I hadn't heard this, but, it doesn't bode well for Danny's player development.
I don't think Danny really cares what Isaiah Thomas says. I think he's just asking him.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe conversation.
It's a players' league, isn't it?
Of course it is.
It's LeBron's league.
No, but it's a star player on every team gets asked these questions. Yes. It's a way of going to Isaiah because, by the way, they're going to also have to tell Isaiah, you're not our starting point guard next year. You're coming off the bench for 30 minutes a game. Yeah. So they're going to butter him up as much as they possibly can in the offseason, bring in a pal or two of his because they're going to have to also turn around and say, you don't mind coming off the bench again, do you?
I guess, but I just thought that was weird. And they've never asked Tom Brady anything. Right? Well, in fact, they do the opposite of Tom Brady. Oh, right?
You need another wide receiver? Tough.
Tom, can you let us know who players you really like because we want to cut them?
You're right. It's a stars league.
But Isaiah Thomas is not even a star.
Well, but he's the best we got. He's the biggest star on our team.
Can you imagine asking Kelly Olynyk?
Oh, my God. He'd probably fall down answering it.
Oh, my God. What a train wreck. So, I'm a big fan of the Summer Olympics in 2024 coming to Boston. Want it to happen. Yep. But, of course, then there's FIFA.
Oh, Lord.
And the international sports, this is considered the most powerful sports organization.
You might see half the elected officials in Massachusetts getting dragged out.
It's right up there with the International Olympic Committee. Those two, same thing.
So, boys, I ask you, okay, do we really, and of course the IOC is organized crime, right?
Yeah.
And so the level of criminality to get right? We have to pay off our local officials, right? We have to pay off the state officials, right? We then have to pay off the IOC, and I assume we'll probably have to pay off FIFA. Right. Do we really want to bring all that to Boston now when you realize that all these organizations
You do remember the big dig, right?
I do remember the big dig.
Do you think there weren't any payoffs in that?
No, that's why I said the local criminals that we have to pay off.
We have a whole long history of doing this sort of stuff.
Do we want? I mean, do we really want to go through all that so I can walk on Comm Ave to go watch badminton? Really? Seriously?
But you're a supporter.
No. I'm changing now.
He's changing.
I'm switching.
Oh, this FIFA thing has changed your mind.
FIFA has, those people are so absolutely disgusting.
I didn't know you were that open-minded.
Yeah, I know. No, I've decided that I can't take
Really?
it. Yeah,
You're done. You're out.
I like American criminals.
So
I don't know. I have
So are you
something
suggesting
about
that we-
international criminals that I just don't. They seem.
Are you suggesting we throw a Hail Mary to LA to take the Olympics? Sort of throw it right across country and say,
No, I just give it to Qatar because they seem to.
Right,
yeah,
right.
right. Just let them. I just don't want that for Boston anymore.
But isn't it incredible the amount of people who have died building the
I
infrastructure?
thought you were going to say died because
I know
they
where he's
wouldn't
going
take
with this.
bribes.
Right, I
Yeah.
know where
In
he's
London,
going with
one person died, and that was like building a mall away from the Olympics. And Sochi, like 4 or 5 died. Over 1,200 people
this. Crazy.
have already died building
Really?
the events.
Yeah. So has that changed? Is FIFA this whole?
No, I
and
didn't
this is-
relate the two. I didn't relate the two.
No.
I'd still like to see it, but I'm dubious. I don't think we're beating Paris, Rome. This thing.
The
is
Europeans
we're a
will
long,
want
long,
it too
long
much.
shot.
I think
Yeah.
they'll take it.
I'm telling you, we have not had Olympics since 2002. That was Salt Lake City. They want to give it to a United States city. I think we were going to get it.
Well, we still might.
But you want it.
Steve Pagliuca, we trust.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got to be kidding. All right, so, of course, we have to talk about the Bruins because there's the Bruins fans, when Facebook and stuff, they always demand talk more Bruins and, all right. So they had their new general manager.
They're doing nothing.
No. Since we were last on, their new general manager has been announced. I know, a shock to you, Don Sweeney.
Harvard's
Harvard's
own.
Yeah.
Harvard's own
Beat you
Don
to it.
Sweeney.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you did beat me
Beat you to it.
So he's basically a puppet to Cam Neely,
Yeah.
right? We can say that for sure.
Well, it's Cam's team now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that the interpretation of all this? That Cam's got his guy and is going to be able to flex his muscles and get more players that he wants?
And is Claude Cam's guy?
I doubt it. Claude's gone. They just have to wait until all these playoffs and everything get done till they may be looking for an assistant on one of these staffs or something like that.
The NHL is funny. If you fire your coach and someone else picks him up, you still get compensation.
No, that was my crazy theory that they were.
Bielema just got-
I didn't think it was that crazy. I thought you were. They
were trying to trade Julian.
No, I think that's
Yeah.
a fair. I don't
But
think that
there's
was
only-
a crazy theory at all. They got a lot of money and time left in that contract.
Yeah, they extended him just this year.
That's right.
Because there's no reason to be hanging him up right now at this point. I mean, if they don't want him and they know whether they want him or not, right? You
think
would
so.
think they would let the guy know. I mean, he's been a loyal employee of theirs, won a Stanley Cup. I mean, you shouldn't be doing this to this guy, right? Right? I mean, now you have everybody in place.
Well, he's on
Claude-
vacation now, so
He's making his money either way.
he's going to get another job.
I think he stays now.
Really?
Yeah, I think he stays
Oh, I think
now.
he's long gone and hard to find.
I think they wanted Babcock. I thought Babcock was the guy that if they could entice here, and then the Toronto Maple Leafs gave him, I don't know, 100, something crazy.
But doesn't it irritate you? We got 2 Game 7s in the NHL. We have one tonight, one tomorrow night, and we're not in either of them. And you live for a Game 7 in an NHL playoff series. It's
Like
one
to
of the
see one in
best
an
single
NBA
games.
series for once.
Right. It's one of the best single games there is on TV.
Oh, and the NHL playoffs is the most
Awesome.
exciting
Yeah.
playoffs,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah,
can say
they
that.
have the best.
And they all cut to the chase. It's always Game 7, right? It's
Yeah.
going to be 3-1, 3.
It's
everything.
always a 1-point game,
Yeah.
down to the 7th game.
Yeah. Beating the snot out of each
last
other.
last team to score wins.
I know. I miss it.
I'll
I
be
know.
watching tonight.
No, you're right. I miss it. I wish the Bruins win because it's so much fun.
So much fun.
So that's the show for tonight. That went quick. Want to thank everyone behind the scenes for their great work. Want to thank, of course, Russ Stevens and Uncle Joe McLaughlin. Remember to check us out online, thegrandstanders.com. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great night.